question. Do you find all things pension somewhat confusing or complicated? If so, don't worry, we've got you covered. We're going to walk you through our ultimate guide to all things pensions in the UK. Think of it as a beginner's guide to pensions or a dummy's guide.
Yep.
We've put together the top questions that we usually receive from our community, and we're going to answer them in an easily understandable and actionable Q&A style. Our goal for this video is for you to walk away after watching this feeling confident about your pensions.
Today's video is sponsored by pensionbee, who've helped over 500,000 customers to be pension confident by helping them to transfer their old pensions together into one simple online plan. We'll put a link to pensionbee below and we'll share a bit more about them as we walk you through this ultimate guide. Please know that, as always with investments, your capital is at risk. The value of your investment can go down as well as up, and you may get back less than what you invested. So essentially, this information should not be treated as financial advice. All right, so beyond the formalities, if you're really enjoying today's video, hit the like button and show some love for the work we're putting into making this video here on our channel. All right, let's dive straight in and get started.
Yes.
All right, so first question is, what is a pension plan and how do you get one?
This is simply a pot of cash that you and your employer pay into for your retirement. Most people qualify for tax relief when they pay that money in, meaning they don't have to pay money on it now. You will eventually have to pay tax on a portion of it later when you come to withdrawing that pension as income at retirement. To get a pension, most people will get one automatically via their workplace pension scheme, given the new rules. To get employer contributions, you would need to be part of an employer scheme and not opt out. If you, however, want to choose your own personal pension outside of your workplace pension scheme, then this is something that you can do also, and we'll get into that in this video. So what are the different types of pensions?
So the pensions we're going to be talking about today are called defined contribution pensions, which are what most modern workplace and personal pensions are. There's also another kind called a defined benefit or the final salary pension, which are less common, but we wouldn't be covering that in this particular video. In the UK, there are three types of pensions: the state pension, the workplace pension, and the personal pension. So let's walk through them one at a time. All right, so let's talk about the state pension first. This is a regular payment paid to you by the government when you retire. The current state pension age is 66, but this is rising to 67 in 2028. Now, how much of the state pension you receive really depends on you having paid a certain amount of national insurance contributions during your working life. Now, to get a state pension at all, you will need to have made at least 10 years of national insurance contributions. And to receive the full state pension, currently at £179.60, you will need to have made at least 35 years of qualifying national insurance contributions. Now, you can actually go and check for yourself how far off you are from those 35 years worth of national insurance contributions by visiting the government website, which we're going to put in the links below for you guys to go and check out. Now, Mary and I actually wanted to find out for ourselves. So we logged into the government website and checked just how far off we were from the 35 years required. So we're going to put up on the screen for you guys to see. And you can see up on the screen, looking first at Mary's records, she's actually done 18 years of full contributions so far,
Wow.
which is fantastic. And I've done 17 years of full contributions with one more year pending. So 18 years as well, basically, which for us is good news in that things are kind of going in the right direction.
Exactly, we're nearly there, over halfway.
All right, let's talk about the workplace pension now. This is a scheme usually organized by your employer for you and that employer to contribute into for your retirement. Now, with auto-enrollment, employers are now required to offer pensions to their employees, and they're required to actually automatically enroll you onto that scheme and pay money into your pensions for you if you're aged over the age of 22 and you earn more than £10,000. Now, looking at the current rules state that you should contribute at least 5% of your qualifying earnings, and your employer contributes 3% as well, giving you a total of 8% contributions into your pension. All right, the third one is a personal pension, also known as a private pension. This is a type of savings products that you can set up for yourself to save and invest for your retirement. Now, the amount you get on retirement will depend on two things. Number one is how much you've actually paid in, and number two is how well your investments perform over time. Now, once you've opened up a personal pension, you'll be given a choice of funds to choose. And then you can choose where your money is invested by choosing various funds or stocks for your money to get invested into. Okay, so what are some of the advantages of saving into a pension?
Well, pension contributions attract tax relief, meaning that for every £1 that you put into your pension, the government gives you an extra 25% on top of that automatically. For example, if you add £80 into your pension, the government will top up £20 automatically, making it a total of £100. Now, if you're a higher rate taxpayer, you can claim an additional 25% via your tax returns. If you're an additional rate taxpayer, you can claim an additional 31% via tax returns. For 2021 to 2022, you get this tax relief up to 100% of your salary or £40,000 depending on which is lowest. Another important advantage of pensions is for inheritance tax. If you die before the age of 75, personal and workplace pensions usually allow you to pass on the pensions to your beneficiaries tax-free. If you die after the age of 75, your beneficiaries may pay income tax on any of the money that they take out of your pensions. So what is salary sacrifice and how does it help with pensions?
Okay, this is really important. Salary sacrifice is where you give up an element of your monthly pre-tax income and your employer puts that towards your pensions. Now, doing this has some really interesting advantages, and I made some notes to share with you guys. The very first one is that you pay less national insurance and your employer also pays less employers' national insurance. Some employers take this additional savings they've made and make additional pension contributions for their employers as well. The second advantage is that you see an increase in your take-home pay as a result of paying less national insurance and tax due to being taxed on a lower taxable income. The third advantage is that if you're a high rate taxpayer or an additional rate taxpayer, you will not need to claim the additional tax relief that you'd normally do via your tax returns because you're already doing it via salary sacrifice. Now, the fourth one's really important. If you're a higher rate taxpayer earning over £50,000, let's say £55,000 as an example, and you are also a parent claiming child benefit for your child, salary sacrifice helps you not only get 40% tax relief by being a higher rate taxpayer, it also helps you contribute an element of your gross salary, say that $55,000, such that that element, say you contributed $5,000 of that into your pensions via salary sacrifice, it could then potentially get you below the $50,000 limit required for you to pay the high income child benefit tax. In effect, you can get to keep your full child benefit by using salary sacrifice to put some of your pre-tax income into your pensions and therefore get your income below that £50,000 limit where you have to pay tax on child benefit. And the final advantage applies to higher earners. If you start to earn an income over £100,000, you will see that your personal allowances start to get reduced by £1 for every £2 you earn above £100,000. But by using salary sacrifice, you can sacrifice some of your gross income into your pensions, thereby reducing your taxable income to below £100,000 and therefore look to retain your full personal allowances. Okay, should you consolidate your pensions?
Well, if you have several pensions from previous employers, then consolidating your pensions can be a great way to stay on top of things. Benefits of consolidating your pensions include it's easier to manage. Having your pensions in one place makes it easier for you to manage because it removes away all the stress. Second, lower fees. You can better monitor and reduce the admin fees and management fees of your pensions. Third, better performing funds, because by combining all your pensions into one, you can choose a pension plan that better matches your appetite. By moving your pensions, you could potentially find a plan that offers better returns. But note that consolidating your pensions does not necessarily guarantee better performance.
This brings us onto today's sponsor, which is pensionbee. Pensionbee helps you to combine your old pensions and invest them into one brand new online plan. There are several plans to choose from managed by the world's biggest money managers, including a fossil fuel free option as well. Their simple annual fees range from 0.5% to 0.95%, depending on which plan you choose. And if you've got more than £100,000 in your pension, their fees reduces by a half on the portion of your savings over this amount.
So you can combine your pensions with them in 3 simple steps. Step 1, sign up in minutes for free. We'll put a link to them below and above for you to get started with them today.
All right, step number 2 is to tell them about your pensions. Here you give some basic information like a provider name or a policy number and confirm that you'd like to transfer.
Step 3, leave the rest to them. They'll get in contact with all your old pension providers and you'll get a personal beekeeper who will keep you updated every step of the way. So to get started with combining your pensions in minutes, check out pensionbee. Again, we'll put a link below and above for you to check out and get started. As always, with investments, your capital is at risk. So what is your pension personal allowance?
So technically, there is no limit on how much you can put into a pension, but there is a limit though to how much you can get tax relief on. Now, there are 3 limits to be aware of for tax relief purposes specifically. Let's walk through them. The first one is your earnings limit. You will get tax relief up to your annual earnings. For example, let's say you earned £25,000, but you've got £35,000 in savings. If you decided to put that £35,000 into your pension, you will only get tax relief for the first £25,000 of that £35,000 because you can only get tax relief up to your annual earnings in this example of £25,000. Right, so the second limit is your annual limit. Now this is mainly for higher earners. You can only get tax relief up to the current annual allowance. And the current annual allowance is equal to £40,000 plus any unused allowances in the previous 3 tax years. This is very important as an investor. For example, let's say you've been contributing £10,000 into your pension per year over the last few years. This means that you can carry forward £90,000, being £30,000 that you have not used per year over the last few years, multiplied by 3 over the last 3 tax years, giving you a total of £90,000, in addition to the £40,000 limit that you can contribute for the current year, making it a total of £130,000 that you can potentially contribute into your pensions in that example. Now, it's worth mentioning that that annual limit of £40,000 begins to taper, i.e. it begins to reduce for annual earnings over £240,000. The rules state that for every £2 of adjusted income over £240,000, you lose £1. This means that if someone earns £300,000 or more, that £40,000 of annual limit becomes £4,000 for tax relief purposes. Now, the third limit to be aware of is what's called your lifetime limit. The current lifetime allowance is £1,073,100. And this amount has been frozen until the year 2026. Now, this lifetime allowance essentially means that if your total pension savings, including gains and interest, exceeds this lifetime allowance, then you are due to pay a tax charge. That's important to know that this lifetime allowance of £1,073,100 includes contributions from others, including contributions from your employer. Now, of course, you can contribute a lot more into your pensions beyond this limit, but you only get tax breaks up to that maximum limit. So how much should you put into your pension?
Well, given auto-enrollment, there are now minimum contributions into your pensions as mentioned before. We'd suggest contributing as much as you can into your pension. Make sure you prioritise paying off high interest debts first before paying any excess into your pensions. Note that a pension is not the only way to save for retirement, so you might need to combine it with other accounts. A general rule of thumb of what percentage to contribute into your pension is to take half of the age that you started your pension. Then put this percentage of your pre-tax income into your pension. Let's assume that you started putting money into your pension at the age of 30. Half of 30 is 15. So according to this rule of thumb, take 50% of your pre-tax income and put it in towards your pension. Note that this 15% includes your employer's contribution. So if your employer is contributing, say 5%, then according to this rule of thumb, you would contribute the rest, which would be 10%. Remember, this is a rule of thumb. So how is a pension invested?
Okay, so your pension's invested in your choice of pension funds, depending on the selection of funds offered by your pension provider. The goal here is that the funds that you choose should help your pension grow over time, helping you to maximize the value of your pension so that you can get the highest possible income at your retirement. Now, the funds you choose can vary depending on your savings needs, your risk appetite, or even your values. For example, pensionbee, as we mentioned earlier, display their funds by category, and each plan has a specific goal. Some of those categories include high risk, which I'm going to pop on the screen for you to see, mid risk, low risk for those who are closest to retirement, and their responsible plans. In the same way, whichever provider you choose, you should be able to choose funds to invest in to suit your attitude to risk or even your values. So, when can you access your pension?
Well, under current rules, you can't actually access the money in your pensions until your 55th birthday. Note that this minimum age will increase to 57 by 2028, which may affect your retirement plans. So why should you open a personal pension?
Okay, for many people, unfortunately, a combination of the state pension and a workplace pension will not be enough to provide them with an income for retirement. This is especially as the cost of living continues to rise year on year. Opening a personal pension and getting tax relief on your contributions can help to boost your future retirement income. Now, obviously, opening a personal pension can be quite a leap for some people, so it's very important to make sure you consider your personal circumstances, just to make sure that you have some excess cash that you can pay into a personal pension when you open one. Essentially, focus on getting your finances in shape first. For example, paying off any high interest debt and living within your means, and that should over time help to free up some cash that you can then use to make contributions into a personal pension. So is a personal pension worth it when you are self-employed?
Well, even if you earn less than £10,000 or have spare cash that you can put towards your retirement monthly, opening a personal pension can actually help boost your retirement savings. You should ideally save as much as you can into your retirement funds, but even a small amount saved consistently can help boost your retirement income. For example, if you can only save £50 a month for over the 30 years, that's an extra £18,000 in your pension pot before factoring in investment gains and tax relief that you may have qualified for in that period. Essentially, every little helps. Now, if you're self-employed, pensionbee has an option for self-employed people wanting to open up a brand new pension with no existing pensions to transfer. There are no minimum savings amounts, which means you can contribute flexibly whenever your business allows. We'll put a link to them below and above for you to get started. As always, with investments, your capital is at risk. So what should you look for with a personal pension provider?
Yeah, it's important to do your research and choose a provider that suits your needs. Now, when making a comparison, here are some things to watch out for. Number one is the choice of funds. You shouldn't necessarily just go with a provider just because they offer the most choice of funds. Consider a provider that has the type of funds that you actually need. For example, if ethical investing is important to you, make sure you go with a provider that has this option for you to consider. The second thing to consider are fees and charges. Some providers charge you an annual management fee, and if you invest in certain types of funds, you might get charged some additional fees also. Some other providers just charge you one single fee per annum. So research for what works best for you and think long term. Some providers also charge you for transfers to other providers. So you should make sure you find out what those fees are before you go ahead and apply for a pension and compare that fee to others. always make sure you read the small print because the headline fee being advertised may not be the total amount that you end up paying. The third thing to watch out for are minimum monthly contributions. Some providers require that you have minimum monthly or annual contributions, and if you don't make those contributions, you may be liable to pay a penalty fee. The final thing to watch out for is performance. It might be helpful to consider the past performance of two funds in order to decide which one to choose. Now, if you're looking at performance data, it might be helpful to make sure that you look at a wide enough range. We'd suggest looking at least 5 years worth of performance data. Now, of course, it's worth mentioning that past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance, and your investments can go down as well as up over time. Now, if you're unsure which funds to invest your money in, do please make sure you seek independent financial advice to make sure that you make the right investments to suit your specific needs. Okay, how safe is your pension?
Well, the Financial Services Compensation Scheme does not protect defined benefit pensions if they fail. Such pensions may be protected by the Pension Protection Fund. If your investments are in the defined contribution pensions that we've mentioned previously, and the UK regulated provider of the investment fails, then the FSCS may pay compensation of up to £85,000 per pension scheme member. Please note that different schemes may come with different levels of protection, so you should read through any policy documents very carefully.
Now, what if you were given bad advice?
If they're a UK regulated advisor and they gave you bad advice about your pension, such as transferring it, for example, you could be eligible for a compensation. The FSCS may pay a compensation of up to £85,000. And if that advisor is still trading, you can complain to the Financial Ombudsman Service. Generally, the FSCS can protect pensions that are provided by UK regulated insurers as long as they qualify as contracts of long-term insurance.
A common example of this is an annuity where you can exchange the cash in your pension for a regular income from an insurance company. Where the FSCS can pay compensation, they will cover pension at 100% with no upper cap. Another example of this is pensionbees pension plans. They are classed as contracts of long-term insurance, meaning that the FSCS may pay compensation up to 100% of their value. Learn more about what the FSCS covers by looking at the official link in the section below.
So what about saving in a pensions versus a lifetime ISA? This is a popular question we get.
Yeah. In the ideal world, you should save into both to max out your retirement savings. However, you should note that both of them are quite different. If you're employed, then it will make complete sense to prioritize your workplace pensions and max out your employer contributions. Doing this is worth more than the bonus that you would get with a lifetime ISA. This makes even more sense if you're a higher rate taxpayer because you get tax relief at 40%. Now, if you are self-employed or you want more flexibility in your retirement savings as you might do with a normal pension, then a lifetime ISA might be a good alternative. But note that you've got a penalty for early withdrawals from a lifetime ISA for retirement purposes. Now, if you're completely new to lifetime ISAs, we've made a super detailed video about it, a complete guide to lifetime ISAs. We're going to put a link to that below and above for you to head over and check that out. All right, so what happens to your pension when you retire?
Well, when you retire, you can take 25% of your pension fund's value as a tax-free lump sum. The remainder of your pension pot can then be used to take an income as either an annuity or drawdown, i.e. taking cash directly as and when you need it, as the rest stays invested.
Now, the level of income that your pension will provide in retirement will vary for different reasons. The first is the investment choices you made over the years. Second is how the pension funds you chose performed. Third is how much you put into your pensions in terms of contributions. And finally, how much costs you were charged by your pension provider over the years. Now, finally, you should note that if you are ever approached by anyone who says to you, hey, we can help you access your pension before the age of 55, please make sure you completely avoid them because it is going to be a scam. This type of scam is known as pension unlocking or pension liberation and has led many people to unfortunately losing their money. So please be scam smart and protect your pension savings.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Would love to hear from you in the comments. What other questions related to pensions would you like us to answer for you? Let us know in the comments below.
Jump in there. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and show some love to our channel. Make sure you share this pensions guide for beginners with one other person who you think needs to learn everything we'll share today on this particular video. As mentioned before, this video is sponsored by the leading online pension provider, pensionbee. So check them out in the links below. And of course, remember, as with investments, your capital is at risk. The value of investments can go up as well as down, and you may get back less than you invested. This information we'll share today should not be regarded as financial advice. Thank you so much, guys, again for watching today's video. And as ever, in all things, be thankful and seek joy.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.